So Speedsters, The Flash Season 5 Episode 20, What Did I Say Last Week? Episode. I'm going to be completely 150,000% honest with you guys. It doesn't look that great. Now the one, and yeah, it really wasn't that great. What is up, Speedsters? Welcome to an episode review of The Flash. Now we are going over Gone Rogue, episode 20. And you know, the second I saw this trailer, I knew it wouldn't be a spectacular episode. And to be honest, I can't really recollect all of the episodes from the top of my head this season. But right from the top of my head, I want to say that this is the worst. But I don't want to officially say that because I'm sure at some point in this season I said a similar thing about one or two episodes. I can't remember. But, you know, there wasn't really any substance to this episode. It did do one thing right towards the very end. And thank God, in a way, that they gave the kind of negative Speed Force excuse at the end. This is like why we need new things, maybe like that new showrunner, and I don't know what the writers were really doing this episode with several different things. This is like the lowest of the low of The Flash, I feel like. Maybe not, because a lot of season 4 episodes were quite the lowest of the low for me, but yeah, this was one of the weakest episodes for sure. But I know I don't want to start off mega negative, guys, but there isn't really too much positive to say about this episode. You know, I like to review as honestly as I can. But let's go over all the details anyway, guys, as we usually do, break down the episode and just review it in general. So I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, as always. Subscribe if you're brand new for more Flash, all comic book nerdy things just like this. And go ahead and like this video, click the thumbs up button. If you do go on to enjoy it, it's very much so greatly appreciated. So if you take 2 seconds out of your time to do that, you are, I don't even know what to say, you're amazing. So this episode opened up with Nora realizing that she couldn't infiltrate that techie place where she wanted to steal a load of things. And, you know, the premise of this episode is that, you know, she's teaming up with the young rogues. And for me, guys, it's no surprise that I am not a big fan of these young rogues. I'm a big fan of, like, Leonard Snart, but those days are long gone. So with new young rogues, I just don't really give much of a crap. Now, I did say I hope that in this episode I feel a bit differently. And I do admit that the episode was more enjoyable, using that word very sparingly in this review, than what I thought with regards to Queen Bee, Weather Witch, Ragdoll, and they said that Silver Ghost was left in Bolivia or something like that. Weather Witch ditched her. But either way, this episode wanted you to think that Nora had kind of gone evil, and she kind of had, because she had to tap into the negative Speed Force, which as a result makes you in a, basically, as Thawne said, it's very negative, and it will put you kind of in a negative mindset. It basically fuels all your rage. Just like imagine playing an MMO or some kind of game, and you take a buffer potion or something, and it gives you plus 20,000 rage. That's kind of what this is like. So, you know, I'm glad that they gave us that explanation this episode towards the end, but does that really excuse, like, just this episode? Like, does it really? It was just so, yeah, I don't even know what to say. It was just so, But of course, it wasn't absolutely diabolical, bad, or anything like that. You know, I did enjoy bits, you know, like we got the beginning. We had Caitlyn's, well, I don't want to say I enjoyed Caitlyn's sadness over her father's death, but of course we had the Book of Ralph return. It's funny that even Cisco knows it off by heart now. Then we got to the part of the episode where they started talking about kind of the negative Speed Force. Cisco was talking about negative tachyons and how they kind of like, you know, they leech off the Speed Force, and Barry realizes that Nora is using negative tachyons to run. They didn't really do anything with the negative Speed Force, unless we've got that to come with the Reverse Flash obviously being in the last few episodes. I mean, this is the last few episodes of the season, so we're going to come to quite a helm with this storyline. But other than that, guys, you know, The Flash, unfortunately, it doesn't disappoint with everything. But if you were to give your guesstimations on, do you think the writers of the Flash TV show will do a good job of the negative Speed Force? I would put my money on no, and I feel like, you know, I'm not disappointed here because I expected stuff like this. And I know it sounds like I'm shitting on the show. As I said, they do some things amazingly, but I feel like most of the times, whether it's a result of expectations or the mother of all failures or whatever, from the fans, like including myself, or is it more of a job that the writers should do a better job with things that fans want on this show, like the negative Speed Force and like other things that just haven't really come to the fulfillment of comic book fans in in this show, and there are plenty of examples. So we had the Rogues meeting, Queen Bee, Weather Witch, Ragman, they all meet Nora. The Rogues don't really want to accept her. As I said, I couldn't tell if I liked the storyline or not, but it really wasn't as bad or as cheesy or as cringy as what I thought it would be. Of course, there were moments where I was just like, I mean, you know me, as I've already said, I don't really care about the young Rogues. I really don't. But it was, at least I was watching it and I thought, okay, I'm not like F this episode completely as I'm watching it. Nora was explaining how much of the guns will go on the black market for like a million easy. At this point, as I was saying, I was like, seriously, if this is not because of the negative Speed Force corruption or some kind of pretending thing, this is complete BS, like to the levels of Smallville Red Kryptonite, cringy, cheesy. I did mention that in my trailer breakdown, but if you guys watch Smallville, you will know what I mean by when Clark went on Red Kryptonite. That is what I wasn't looking forward to on this episode. Now, whether you found that cool in Smallville or you're kind of with me, like a lot of it was cheesy if you go look back on it now, that's what I was terrified for. And it kind of did resemble that. But as I said, that excuse at the end kind of undid it all. Like, Nora was pretending. Of course, she was in a bit of a negative mind space because she had to tap into the negative Speed Force. Of course, guys, we had Sherlock and Cisco captured. It was... okay, like, you know, not really a massive deal. I mean, we did have that moment where Nora scares the crap out of Cisco by doing the reverse flash hand. Oldie but a goodie. Fair enough. Sherlock starts the conversation of, you know, kind of instigating the whole vibe. Is he leaving the show? Because Cisco said himself, you're saying I don't want to be a vibe? And he's like, maybe you need to tell, you know, speak the truth to yourself before you reveal the truth to his girlfriend. And this was definitely that setup for will he or won't he leave kind of thing. As I said, I believe Canada DeGrasse did say and asked Carlos Valdez, are you leaving? He's like, I'll see you next season. Now, whether that's like a massive like throwaway from fans speculating about him leaving or not, and if it will happen or not, I guess, you know, there's no official confirmation as of yet, but let's hope that he doesn't, and let's hope that this storyline was just put there just in case he wanted to leave, but now he's come to the decision that he's not going to. This is where like another disagreement happened with them, and I feel like this is more BS. I feel like the fandom have all kind of agreed with this. The BS writing of why is Sherlock getting blamed for stuff? And I'm not an Iris hater, I just want to put that out there. Like the nonsensical stuff Iris is saying, I feel like even a lot of West Allen fans can't really get on board with, dare I say it. I'm not saying Barry's 100% in the right either. You know, it has felt, I'm not gonna lie in terms of saying it has felt like you can 50% agree with Iris and 50% agree with Barry, but you know, again, this episode I was saying they should stop pushing Nora away by treating her like a supervillain. Barry thinks that doesn't matter because what Nora is doing is Thawne's plan, and then Iris says, you know, maybe Thawne's plan isn't so bad. I feel like in no reality, unless, you know, this was a TV show where writers write things, so like the actresses and actors have to act it out, which this is, that wouldn't happen unless it was that, which this is. I am going to just say play devil's advocate in terms of I do get that Iris saw Thawne and believes that he cares about Nora, which I believe too. But like, to go to the extent, and you really have to remember the family history here between what Thawne has done, you have to completely agree with Barry there. I mean, I do get where Iris is coming from, as I said, but like to say, like, maybe Thawne's plan isn't so bad. You never thought of that, Barry? Well, of course he wouldn't think of that. Of course he wouldn't, even though they do end up agreeing to use Thawne's plan because it's you know, it does make sense. But I'm just saying at this point in the episode, it was a bit like, Iris, what you smoking? We did get that Jenny Ognart's Easter egg. I don't know if I want to poke into this too deeply. Like, did Nora, I mean, if you didn't know, Jenny Ognart's is the freaking granddaughter of Barry Allen. Now, yeah, the reason why I want to get kind of nitpicky about this, did she fake those IDs? Because these IDs were McCulloch Technologies visitor access, and she put down Lieutenant Jenny Ognarts. So either somebody in this world literally already exists with that name, which is, I guess, isn't too unusual, unless that really is a rare name, or she faked the IDs and gave that name. Now, I could break down a whole bunch of other things in this episode where Sherlock escaped due to the training of Thaddeus Brown from Earth 51, and then the Rogues infiltrated and they wanted to expose the Flash's identity, and there was a bit of comedy inserted there with Sherlock pretending to be the Flash, and we had Barry, Joe, and Iris, you know, using that facial technology changing stuff. You know, it was all like, okay. I don't really want to go mega in depth because, you know, what am I going to say? Oh, this was okay, that was okay, this was it just felt like very the lowest tier, like if you were like selecting an episode as if it was a video game, this would be like the very low tier clips you would use to put in your episode. You know, that's the only way I can put this into an analogy. Like that's all I got to say about the following scenes. It wasn't anything that significant that was happening, apart from the takeaway when Nora was talking to Barry and Iris at the end of the episode, and she said she thought she could control them, steal the weapons back after they lifted them, but her real reason for this was to get a weapon that would destroy Cicada's dagger. And it's kind of a shame that this episode, you know, to get the weapon that would destroy Cicada's dagger had to be in such a low quality episode. That's the only thing that was important in this episode, since they didn't explore the negative speed force. Everything else was a bit wishy-washy lame. So that's the only thing. Of course, the somewhat redeeming thing of this episode to excuse the cringiness, of course, was that line from Nora where she said, plus, you know, I have to stay in a seriously unsway headspace to use the negative speed force. That basically excuses why she was like, I hate you, or, you know, those moments. And I have to admit, when Barry entered Flash time, and we're rewinding a couple of seconds here, and Nora's just like, you know, oh, you were here for me the whole time. And Barry's just like, you know, I'm never going to abandon you again. Like, you could look at that, oh, what a nice moment, but it's just, I don't know. It just makes this episode seem so pointless, because they said, oh, Nora, why didn't you tell us this? And they were like, Dad would have never believed me. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. I just felt like her evilness wasn't consistent enough in this episode. But you could be like, but Boba, she was kind of putting it on. Granted, she had to tap into the negative speed force, which made her a bit like Aggie, if you will. You know, it wasn't consistent, because like, why would she be in that speed force flash time and then like look at her dad as if she's snapping out of stuff, being like, oh, you were here for me the whole time. Like, it just, this episode was just so bad. It really was. It was. By the way, guys, wrapping up this review, at the end of the episode, Barry agrees to use Thawne's plan. You know, at the moment, I don't blame them for that at all. Like, it literally does make sense. This gun got explained to basically eradicate Cicada's dagger. Why not use it? I'm sure Thawne, whether it's the whole redeeming storyline or not, which I really hope they don't go with, the only thing I'll accept is that he cares about Nora sentimentally, like he became to care about his arch nemesis Barry after looking over him for 15 years while he grew up, waiting for him to become the Flash. That makes perfect sense. We did have that post-credit scene, actually, where Crusader, you know, took the Cure prototypes, and, you know, they were failed, broken versions of the Cure, which as a result would kill metahumans. So Team Flash realized that she wants to kill every metahuman in the city, and maybe that post-credit scene with her tinkering with the atomizer, or whatever it was called, a little ball, you would have to think it must project out some kind of wave, not a sonic wave, but like some kind of pulse with the metahuman cure that will wipe out everyone just like that. And that's just so OP. How are they going to stop her? You know, setting up the big villain. Like, if you do look at it as a whole, guys, I do agree with the people, you know, in retrospect, this season's villain, even though they did turn into Crusader as well, and there's a bit of like, oh, Reverse Flash, what's going on there? It is pretty basic. Oh, like, this villain's now got like a little atomizer ball thingy that's going to disperse some kind of metahuman cure, which doesn't cure them but kills them. Like, are you excited about that? Be honest with yourself. Are you excited about that? I'm not. I couldn't give a flying F about that. The only thing I care about is the Thawne stuff. Apart from that, whoopie-doo, I guess. Whoopie-doo. But anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of this episode. Do you agree with me? Do you think I was a bit too harsh on it? I don't think I was. You know, things could have gone differently. Things could have been a bit better. You know, I don't want to be one of those people either, like, where just because you really like a show, like, you want to see the best in even in a really bad episode. And I have been there before when I've watched shows. I've tried to, no matter what, see the best out of a shitty episode. But like, you can't lie to yourself. Like, a shitty episode is a shitty episode, and it doesn't mean you don't like the show. It just means that they could have done a lot better. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this regardless. Like the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you are brand new. Check out the links down in the description below this video, just so you can join my Discord server and talk about The Flash with me directly and a bunch of other things. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you speedsters in the next video. Goodbye.